Visual Basic for Applications, or VBA, is an implementation of Microsoft's event-driven programming language, Visual Basic 6.0, built into most desktop Microsoft Office applications. Although based on a pre-net Visual Basic, which no longer updated by Microsoft, the VBA implementation in Office continues to be updated to support new Office features. VBA is used for professional and end-user development due to its perceived easy-to-use Office's vast installed user base and extensive legacy in business. Visual Basic for Applications enables building user-defined functions, or UDFs, automating processes, and accessing Windows API and other low-level functionality, although through dynamic link libraries, or DLLs, it supersedes and expands on the abilities of earlier application-specific macro programming languages such as World Basic. It can be used to control many aspects of the host application, including manipulating user interface features such as menus and toolbars, and working with custom user forms or dialog boxes. As its name suggests, VBA is closely related to Visual Basic and uses the Visual Basic runtime library. However, VBA code normally can only run within a host application rather than a standalone program. VBA can, however, control one application from another using OLE automation. For example, VBA can automatically create a Microsoft Word report from Microsoft Excel data that Excel collects automatically from the pulled sensors. VBA can use but not create ActiveX/COM DLLs, and later versions add support for class modules. Now let's discuss the uses of VBA and what are the users of VBA. There are mainly three types of users of VBA, which is general users, computer professionals, and corporate users. General users are basically the ones like us who are using the VBA for making day-to-day tasks or any other stuff which we need to do it repeatedly, and one can also execute any type of code using the VBA in Excel with a single click, and that is fairly easy for the general users to execute any type of command using the Excel. Now let's discuss the second part, which is computer professionals. Computer professionals are the users that are using VBA in a much advanced levels, like coding and other stuff, so they can use the VBA to do much more advanced codings in order to excel in the Excel VBA. So mainly, for example, if someone wants to add in a new function in the Excel, a computer professional, he can write a code in the VBA sheet and just basically function it through it there, and the Excel will respond to the correct command. And now let's move on to number 3, which is the corporate users of Excel VBA, or VBA in general. So the corporate users of VBA are mainly the ones that are using VBA for purposes like maintaining their salaries or any type of let's say sheets that they need to follow, any schedule or any other official stuff. So anything corporate users that are using daily basis these Excel files and other sheets. So these are basically the corporate users of VBA, and In the next lesson, I'm going to start by showing you what are the functions of VBA and how we're going to start up VBA using the Excel. So stay tuned for our lessons. So I'm going to begin our first lesson in the next video, okay?
So Excel VBA. Excel VBA is an interface. So we use this in other Microsoft applications, but you can also use it in Excel as well. So basically, VBA is this bar you can see here, the tab that is open here, this interface. Now you can see, if you look closely, you can see that these icons, they look a bit old, like old school, right? It's because this is the visual Microsoft Visual Basics for applications, and here we can add some codes. And if we look down here on the name, you can see that it's sheet 1, and here we can also see sheet 1. So this VBA window is for this sheet 1. Now there is some other things here as well. When we start coding, there will be another tab open here which is called the module, but it's not open right now because we don't have any code right now. Now VBA, basically, if I for example, if I type in 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and if I want to sum it up, we already have a feature here to sum all of these up, right? So if we just go here and type in sum, use the bracket, add all of these together, close the bracket, and press enter, you can see that these are all summed up. Okay, now if I go to the value here, if you look here, it says sum, but what if I want to add them, add them? So I could just type in plus, right? What happens if I type in plus and then press enter? You can see here, if we go here in this box, you can see it's written the formula contains unrecognized text. So it's basically like that. It doesn't work like that. It has no plus formula for this interface, so only the sum here. Okay, so now in VBA, if I want, I can add a plus theory here in VBA, right? So if I want to make a theory, or a theory like sum, I can use the VBA format here and make it. So you can do it in any other application of Microsoft like PowerPoint or Word. So that's basically VBA. Okay, now you may be wondering how I got this VBA bar, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Now if I look here in my mouse, if you take a look here, you can see that there are files, and then there's home, insert, page layout, formulas. All of these are ribbons. Okay, and we have a neat bar here as well, and it said tell me what you want to do. Now here, we're gonna take a look at this part later, but first I'm going to show you how to get the VBA bar. Now to do that, we're going to go to the file, and in the file you can see there are so many interfaces here. So we're going to go to the bottom, and in the bottom we can see that there's account and options. We're going to select the options. Okay, once I click on the options, there will be a bar here as well, a tab opened here, and there are general, formulas, data, proofing, and other stuff. But what we want to look at here is the customize ribbon. All right, so these are all ribbons here, and we want to customize the ribbon. And when I click on the customize ribbon, you can see here there are many tabs on the far right side. So there are main tabs here, and there are some tabs that are not ticked. Okay, so in this particular one, the developer tab, we're going to tap on the developer tab. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to select the OK, and here you can see that there is a ribbon here named the developer. Okay, now inside the developer tab ribbon, or whatever you want to call it, so here we can see that there are some features here like record macro, use relative references, and then this visual basic and macros. So this visual basics here, this is the visual basics application tab. So we're going to click on this, and once we've tapped it, this tab has opened. So that is how you open the visual basics for application tab. All right. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So we were currently learning about the macro recorder, and I showed what the macro recorder does. And in this lesson, we're going to learn about the cell references. Okay, so what are the cell references? There are basically two types of cell references, relative and absolute. Relative and absolute cell references behave differently when copied and filled to other cells. Relative references change when a formula is copied to another cell. Absolute references, on the other hand, remain constant no matter where they are copied. So basically, if you want an example of relative reference, for instance, if I click on this cell, you can see here that it said D4. So this is a relative reference. And absolute reference, on the other hand, is different. You see, absolute is totally absolute. So if I type in anything like, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I type in 5, 6, 8, 9, 7. So if I want to add it up or sum it up or whatever I want to do, let's say I want to sum this, and I'm going to use this to, and then I'm going to close the bracket out, and you can see here it's added up, right? So if I want to add everything up, I'm going to use this and it adds it up, right? So this is basically the cell absolute cell reference. Not every time the values will be the same, but the idea remains the same. Okay, so this is the absolute cell reference. Now I'm going to create another lesson on this with a bit more explaining and a better example, so stay tuned for that lesson, and I'm going to go right away to it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay, hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson we're going to learn about the basics, the intro to editing macro. All right, in our last lesson we learned how to uh, do the manual and auto macro and codings. In this lesson we're going to learn about editing the macros. Okay, now to do that, we first have this interface here that I created in our last lesson, and basically we're gonna use the macro recorder again, but I told you that this the macro recording would have been ended in the last lesson, but we're gonna need it a bit more as well. So in this lesson, first, if I open this uh, visual basics, basically just go to the developer tab and you'll find the visual basic right here and click on it. Now here down here you can see the code that was written at the first lesson, and here you can see that sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this workbook here. But if I click on the module here, you can see that there has been no code because I deleted all the macros from before, so there is no code here for this module. Okay, if you have any code, it's no problem, just delete it, or just delete the macros as well. Okay, So now that we've understood the VBA part of this lesson, um, what we're going to do now is we're going to select all of these and we're going to record the macro. And let me start off the macro first. Record macro, macro 8. I'm gonna name this Control X. Okay, and then we're going to go to the home and we're going to select all of these items right here. Okay, once we select them, we're going to apply, let's say, a font, which is, we're going to apply Arial black, and then we're going to, okay. Now if we check on the VBA, you can see that there is this sheet 5 and the codes are written here, right? And we already know that these codes, some of these codes, these are unnecessary, so we can just delete them. um, there we go. Okay, so after we've done that, we can see that there is these quotation marks over here, and we can also apply these quotation marks, like if I do this and then mm, apply a quotation mark here. Don't use the double quotation mark or else it won't work. Use the single quotation mark and this one and also this one. This is basically commenting on this code here. We can also apply it to this one. Basically, you can apply it to every single line here, quotation marks, and it will just keep happening. And with this one as well. Okay, now this is basically the code of the Excel that we're currently working on, this one in general. Okay, the module, we click on the module, it will bring us here. Okay, so you can see here that uh, the cells selected with selection font, the name of the font is Arial black, which we applied here, the Arial black here, and we also have the size, which is 16. We can also increase it if we want, like if I want it to be 18, and go to the VBA, and if I just run it again, go to the developer tab, and we run it again, you can see that this is turned to, like, let's say C18. We applied the 18 and we can just do it manually as well. 18. All right, so that's basically the editing of the macros. You can edit any code that you want. You can edit it with anything, any of this. For instance, if you don't have any function here, you can make it through this VBA function. Okay, make the function to your liking. So now that I've selected all the data here, you can see that this is the data from this. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another macro. Okay, to do that, I'm just going to go to the developer tab, stop recording. Okay, so we already have a macro here. So you already have a macro here. Let's say uh, we're going to record the macro. So start recording macro 9, and I'm going to use Control plus V this time. Okay, so it's showing an error that it can't record. Okay, so since it's still recording, we're going to go to the VBA, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to minimize this so I can see what's going on here. Okay, so we're going to be working on the both sides, and let me just fix it like this. Okay, okay, so since we have this since we have this macro going on recording, we're going to change this outline, and you can see as soon as I selected it, I went to home, and you can see that there is another interface here, which is called the macro 9 macro keyboard shortcut. Okay, so whatever we do here, if I change this to, like, let's say this one. Okay, you can see that it's changed to this as well. The name is this one, and if we like wanted to change anything else, you can see here. So now that we have our code here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to comment on all of these that we don't need, which are unnecessary. Since this is necessary here, style or size is necessary, I'm going to keep them. All of these that are written false are unnecessary, so I'm just going to comment them down. All right. Okay. Also these. Now I'm going to comment on this one as well, and width. Okay, and once I've commented on this, since I've commented on the end width, now I'm going to press on play. Now you can see that there is an compile error, invalid outside procedure. Okay, so why is that? With selection font. Okay, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to, like, delete this one. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to here, and I applied a quotation mark here as well. Okay, so if I play now, it still says outside compile error, outside procedure. Okay, so basically we're going to apply this. All right, now once I've played this, I'm going to run it again. It's saying okay. So basically what we have to do here is we're going to just apply this one, sub macro 9, and sub this one as well. Okay, so basically that is the way you can change the macros inside. All right, and you can edit them as well in through this macros. Okay, so I'm gonna go into our next lesson right away. Okay, so stay tuned. So in our last lesson, we learned about how to edit macros, and I'm going to show you a bit more today again. And in this lesson, I'm going to select this whole chart, and we're going to go to the developer tab, and we're going to record this macro. Okay, and then we're going to go to the Visual Basic, and here first we're going to change the we changed the font to 18, and also we're going to change the font style as well, and we're going to take it with this one. All right, now if we go to the Visual Basic, we can see here that the macro 3 here, which is recording right now, with selection font name is whatever we have here. Right here is this one, and then we also have the size of this is 18. Now we can also change it from here as well. Now if I just give it as 20 and play it, well, you can see that the font size has changed instantly. Right here you can see it, the font size changes instantly. So that's how you like change the font or edit the font using the VBA. You know, it's pretty easy. You need to just practice. And if you have any problem, please let me know. I'm always here to help. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're finally going to learn about the macros and how they are built from scratch. So we're going to make macros from the scratch as well. All right. So in our previous lessons, we learned the basics of macros and other stuff. Okay. So now we already have these interfaces, and if I go to the developer tab, which I'm already at, and go to macros, you can see we have one macro saved. And if I go to the visual basics, well, you can see that there is the one macro that is saved here, and there is a lot of data around this place, right? Yeah. So, and in the far left, you can see that there is one particular option here, which is module. And in the module, you can see the module is showing all the codes that are written for the VBA. Okay. Now, what I want to do here is I want to make another macro from scratch. And to do that, I'm not going to use the macro recorder right away. Okay. So if I go here and then back here, all right. So first off, let me delete these macros. I'm deleting this one. Okay, I don't need to delete it. I'll just keep it. And then if I go to the developer tab and bring in the Visual Basics application, I would go here and insert. And in insert, you can see here there is an option called module. Now I'm going to open a new module here. Once I do that, there is another blank space here. So you can see in the far left, there is module 2, right? And in module 2, I'm going to add another thing, which is the procedure. You can see here when I go to the insert, the first option is procedure. And once I click on the procedure, there are a few interfaces here like type and scope. So after I clicked on the procedure, you can see that there are some types here, type and scope. So I'm gonna explain this, and in the type, you can see that there is this sub selected, right? So the sub is basically the one that we're using right now, the basic macros, the small form of macros or whatever you want to tell it. So once now that we know this what the sub is, the function is like the higher form of the macros, and we use these functions when we want to add some other functions or other codes. And then property is basically the function of verb. I said this in the other lessons, and it's part of the verb. Okay. Now next we have is the scope. Now in the scope we have two options here. Now the scope is basically if the public is if it's given public, then uh, anyone can see it and you can use it from anywhere. And if you keep it in private, then no one can access it other than you. Okay, so that's basically the procedure functions. Now once we click on the procedure, we're going to set a name. Now, for one thing here, in the procedure, setting the name could be tricky. You cannot give any numeric numbers. First, if you want to give any numeric numbers, it will show an error. Like, for instance, I want to name this module first, uh, first macro. Okay, I want to name this module first macro, and if I add like first underscore macro, and if I press OK, you can see that it says invalid procedure name. So you cannot add any numeric numbers. So uh, other than that, I'm going to add in first in letters. Okay, and pressing OK, you can see that the function is started and we have our module here and the VBA starts here. Okay, so we're going to create some space and we're going to work here and add some functions. So now I'm going to add some codes over here. Okay, now for the codes I'm going to use let's say I'm going to add some rows. So let me add some rows here, and first I'm going to use the open parenthesis, and inside I'm going to type in first double quotation, and inside I'm going to type in 1:1 is to 1, and then close the double quotation, close parenthesis. All right, and then I'm going to add in dot insert. Okay, after I've done that, I'm going to add some more, like, so once we've typed in this, we're going to apply it as step into. I'm going to see it. So now you can see in our Excel, you can see that the gap has created and it's working, which means it's working. So we're going to end this, and then we're going to add some columns here. Okay, so now that we've got our rows in place, what we're going to do here is we're going to apply some of these text onto here. Okay, now some text, I'm going to add in some rows, not some rows, I'm going to add in some range, and to add in the range I'm going to type in range and then open parenthesis, double quotation, and I want to add it in A1 right here, right? So I'm going to type in, let's say, double quotation, and then I'm going to type in A1, close the double quotation, and then close parenthesis. Okay, then add close parenthesis. All right, and now I'm going to type in dot value. Okay, and here after that I'm going to type in equal double quotation and injury location. Location. All right, and then I'm going to close with the double quotation, and after that we're going to type in another range. Okay, same process, open parenthesis, and this time I'm going to type in, let's say, B1. Yes, it's going to be B1 double quotation and then dot value. All right, and then we're going to type in again, and in this one I'm going to type in double quotation gender. Okay, now again I'm going to type in range, and C, this time it's going to be C1. All right, C1, dot value, and inside the quotation it's going to be age. All right. Okay. And now, so once we've typed in all the range, what we're going to do here now is we're going to type in a row as well. Okay. So I'm going to create some space here, and I'm going to type in rows, and in the rows I'm going to type in the open parenthesis, and then double quotation mark. Now the double quotation mark is pretty important. Okay, if you have to add double quotation mark, or else it won't run. Okay, now I'm going to type in 1:1, sorry, 1:1, and then close the double quotation mark and close parenthesis, and then dot font, dot again, bold, and then we're going to add in the equal sign. After the equal sign, we're going to type in true. Okay, now once we've done that, you can see that we have this end sub here, and we're going to take this here, and now we're going to, we can just end it here, but we're going to run it and see if it works. Okay, if we run it, you can see that it actually works. All right, and now we have this injury, and if I just align it, gender and then age, we have a perfect line here. Okay, but there's a gap here, but it wouldn't matter. But what matters is that we've run the code here. So you can see here, after the end sub, they said the range is A2, and then select all of these are codes. Now, so this is basically the making macros from scratch. Okay, macro codes from scratch and basics of VBA coding. So if you want to learn about more advanced VBA, you can get into a course, and uh, I'm teaching the basics of VBA. So this is the only basics of VBA. If you want to learn about the advanced VBAs, you can get into a course, and it's really fun once you get the hang of it. Okay. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at multi-step macro recording, and for that I have some data here that I'm gonna choose from. And so here you can see, if I click here and go to this number section, and you can see that it's specifically told that it's a social security number. Now if you want it to be it as a zip code, you can select it, or if you want it to be as a phone number, you can also do that, no problem. But I'm going to keep it as social security number. So now I'm going to take a look at this one, which is the number, phone number. So if we go to the number section here, and you can see that I've specifically selected it as phone number. You can select it as anything you want, but I'm gonna keep it as phone number. So I'm gonna select OK. Now what I'm going to do here is I want to make this appear as the last number. Okay, to do that, I'll show you right now. If I press in the equal sign, and then if I inside, I'm going to type in. So now I'm going to type in, let's say, my bad, I'm going to type in right, or if I wanted to want a left value to appear, I can type in left as well. So I'm just going to select the right, and after that I'm going to give a bracket here, and you can see that they're asking me to uh, indicate if it's a text or anything. So I'm just gonna select this whole interface. And here's the funny part is that if I just close parenthesis right now and press enter, you can see that it's typed 7, right? That's because the 7 is the far right number here. And in that case, if I want like something else, if I want this whole uh, number to appear, what I can do here is just give the equal sign, type in right, use the bracket, and select the number text, the whole text, and then I'm going to um, and now I'm going to type in, give a comma, and after that I'm going to type in 3. Now once I've typed in 3 and used the close parenthesis uh, and pressed enter, you can see that it's written 987. That's because the 987 is the far right numbers, or the 3 numbers that are in the far right. Okay, so that is how it's done. Now if you wanted to like add in these numbers and you want them to not appear but appear as some other interface, okay, so for that I'm going to type in the code again, and my bad, right, and then we're going to type in, the bracket, and we're going to select the text here, and here I'm going to select also 3. All right, after that I'm going to close parenthesis, and here I want these to appear as hashtags. To do that I'm going to type in hash, then use the colon, and then we're going to type in hash again. And here, first we're going to use the quotation marks, which is very important. So I'm using the quotation mark. So I'm going to use the quotation mark here, and then I'm going to close the quotation mark right here. Now, if I press right now, okay, you can see that there is an error here, right? To solve that, what we're going to do here is we're going to go here and type in an and percentage. All right. So once we've typed in the and percentage, you can see that the values have returned. And now if I press enter, you can see that the numbers that we chose to hide are in hashtag. Now, if you want to these to appear as something else, like let's say star marks, you can also do that as well. You can show them as star marks, no problem. Or you can also select them as alphabets if you want. Let's say I want these alphabets to be represented as um, T's, and these are well T's. So you can do that as well. Once I type in, you can see that they appear as T's. All right. So that's how you do it. And I'm just gonna keep these as hashtags. There you go. You can see that this is a representative of this value, and these are not appearing as the numbers that we chose, but as appearing as the alphabets that we chose. All right. So now if you want to like copy this and paste it here, you can do that as well. But there's a problem with that. If I copy it and fill it with every single one of them, it will cause some trouble, which will overwrite all the values over here. So to do that, to prevent that, what we can do here is we're going to select the cell here, and then we're going to copy this we're going to copy this cell. Once we've done that, we're going to choose this one, and then we're going to paste it here. Now we can't just paste it right away. We're going to go to paste options, and then we're going to choose the paste values. All right, and if I press in the paste value, you can see that it's the same as this one. So now if we go to the fill header and fill it up, now you can see that the values have changed, right? And the values are different from the other one. Okay, so that's how you do it. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with these values, and we're gonna see what happens. So we're going to try it out with this as well. All right, so same process. So I'm gonna do it in here. So, and I'm not gonna use any of these values because these are uh, actual cell references, and I'm gonna use one of these values. So in particular, I'm gonna use this one. All right, so let's start it. And same process is we're going to first type in right. We're going to type in right, and from the right side we're going to select uh, this cell, use a comma, and we're going to type in 4 because we have 4 numbers at the far right side after the colon. All right, now once we've done that, we're going to close parenthesis, and here we're going to use the hashtags, and before that we're going to use the quotation, the double quotation mark, and type in 3 hashes, then another colon, 2 hashes, and another colon. All right, and now we're going to close the quotation, and to uh, for the values to appear, we're going to use an and percent. Okay, now once we're done with that, we're going to press enter, and you can see that the value here is the same as this one, and but the values at front at the left side, they are appearing as hashtags. All right, so now we're going to do this again, and this time we're going to use the record macro. All right, so I'm just going to cut all of these and then select, go to the developer tab and select use relative references and start the record macro. We're going to name this macro as JJ, and we're going to select key for it. I'm going to use Control plus J and press on OK. So it's recording now, and we're going to start by using the equal sign, type in right, or in this case we're going to just um, first type in right, use the bracket, select this cell, comma, 4, close parenthesis, and then we're going to go here and we're going to use another quotation mark inside, type in hashtag, 3 hashtags, 2 hashtags, and close the quotation mark right away, and also add in the and percent. Now you can see here that it's appeared, but this time we use the record macro. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to apply this to all of these. All right, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to copy this. All right, we're going to copy this cell. Once we've copied it, we're going to paste it here. Now we're not going to paste it in a normal fashion. Before that we're gonna stop the macro recorder. All right, then we're gonna copy it again. Okay, once we're copied it, we're gonna go here and go to paste options, and we're gonna select the paste values. All right, so select the paste value, and you can see here it's the same as this one. Now I'm going to select all of these. Now you can see that the values have changed, right? So this is basically the multi-step macro recording. And if you face any problems, please reach out to us, and we're here to help you. Please practice at home as well. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. In this lesson, we're going to learn about the macro recorder. In our previous lesson, we learned about the object-oriented programming and what it does and what are the advantage of it. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about the record macro. Now, you can see here that I have the developer tab opened here, and there are some interfaces here. And if you look here, when I'm putting my mouse here, you can see that there is a record macro option here, right? So what is the record macro? Suppose I'm doing a function here, okay? Let me delete all this. So suppose that I want to type in, let's say, great, and I want to place it in, let's say, so center align, and I'm going to edit it like give it bold and turn it italic and give it a underscore. So, and also let me change the colors of it to like this is perfect. And even if I want to like increase the size of it, so you can see here that the interface is changed, right? So suppose I want to put this in another sheet, and in order to do this, if I take another sheet here, sheet 2, if I take here and I want to type the same thing here, so I have to go through all the process that I did earlier, like type in great and then change the colors and change all the fonts and stuff. uh, it's a lot of hassle, right? There's a lot of repetitive work going on here. To solve that, we have the macro recorder. All right, so if we go back to sheet 1, you can see here this is the macro recorder in the developer tab. So I want to get back to that. All right, now I want to just delete it, and let me go to the developer tab, and let's say I want to, let's say, repeat what I did. So I'm going to go here and click on record macro, and what it does is that macro, whenever we start recording, it watches what we do, and it records our every movement and saves it for later when we want to use it in another sheet or anything else. So once I've clicked on the record macro, you can see here there's another window here, and it says macro 1. So we can uh, place a name here, and I'm going to name it great. And there we have a shortcut key. I hope there is no shortcut key for what I'm going to place here in your um, excel excel application. So let's place a shortcut key, since this is if we use a simple shortcut key, for instance control s, there's a risk that you can overwrite or underwrite anything else, whatever you want to save. So I'm just going to apply shift plus s, and it's going to remember that whenever I press control plus shift plus s, it will bring up the same interface. And then they're going to ask where I want to store this macro. So it's written here, this workbook, and we have three options here: personal macro workbook, which you can use, that you can only use yourself. It records it and you can only use it for yourself. And there's new workbook, and there is this workbook. Now if I use the this workbook, it means that this recorded macro can be used by anyone else other than me, and also by me as well. Okay, so we don't have to add any description, so I'm just gonna click on OK. Now you can see here that it's written stop recording, which means whatever I do right now, even if I press it like this, it's recording it. Okay, it's recording every movement I make. So I'm just gonna type in say great, and it's already doing everything for me. Now once I've done making it, I'm just gonna click on stop recording. Once I've stopped recording, now I want this interface in this sheet as well, right? Now to do that, we're gonna go to the macros here. Okay, this macros option. Once we click on it, you can see here that the title or the macro that we saved is saved here as great. So we're going to click it and we're going to press on run. So you can see here that it's written great. Now since I placed the colors later, it shows that only the font is here. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to go back and we're going to record it again. So I hope you understood this. So I'm just gonna go to sheet 2 and I'm going to cut. So once I've cut it, I'm gonna go back to sheet 1 and I'm going to cut this one as well. Okay, and I'm going to take off the colors as well, every single thing, and go to the home and select here no fill and go back to how it was. All right, so now basically what I want to do here is I want to place it in F5. All right, I want to place it in F5. To do that, I'm going to go back to the developer tab and press on record macro. I'm just going to save it as grade 2, and we don't know we don't need any shortcut key for now. Just for example purposes, I'm just going to use this workbook right now and click on OK. So now I'm going to type in great, and I'm going to edit this as I want to like place it in the center like this, center line, and then bold it, apply italic, underscore, and then I want to increase the size to, let's say, 26 is great. All right, increase the size to this. Okay, so there we have it. And then I'm going to place a color here. I'm going to place yellow or whatever this is. So now you can, if we go back to the developer tab, you can see that it said stop recording. So I'm just going to stop recording and I'm going to go back to sheet 2. And sheet 2, we placed it in F5, right? So we're going to go here and we're going to select the macros, and here we have the grade 2, and we're going to run it. So you can see that it's the same interface that we did in sheet 1. So that's basically the record macro option. Now that is basically the record macro option, and if you have any problem you can just contact us. We're always here to help. Please practice at home. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson we're going to learn about OOP, or object oriented programming. Now what is object oriented programming? Object oriented programming is a programming paradigm based on the concept of objects which can contain data and code. The data is in the form of fields, often known as attributes or properties, and the code is in the form of procedures, often known as methods. A common feature of objects is that procedures or methods are attached to them and can access and modify the object's data fields. In this brand of OOP, there is usually a special name such as this or self used to refer to the current object. In OOP, computer programs are designed by making them out of objects that impact or interact with one another. OOP languages are diverse, but the most popular ones are class based, meaning that objects are instances of classes, which also determine their types. Many of the widely used programming languages, such as C, Java, or Python, are multi paradigm and they support object oriented programming to a greater or lesser degree, typically in combination with imperative procedural programming. So OOP is like another programming language. But so what is its connection to VBA? See, in our last lesson I mentioned that VBA is a code. VBA is basically coding in Excel. You know, you can modify the functions. Like for instance, one function here is 2, 3, that's 3, or maybe 6, 8, or 9. Okay, so if we want to sum it up, we can just simply use this sum. And then if we just give the bracket here, and we're going to select all of these here, and then we're going to use the close parenthesis and press enter, and we have our summation here. Right now I showed you that, look at, if you take it here, look at here, and if I add plus, you see the value is not recognizable, and they're saying that the formula contains unrecognized text. So what VBA does is that you can modify, if I open the VBA sheet here or tab here, you can modify your codes here. Okay, you can modify it to understand the plus meaning of the theory. So that's the work of VBA. So OOP is basically using or reorganizing a code that can be reused uh, continuously. You know, it makes it much more easier for the user to use a code continuously. So OOP is basically that, for example, if I want to choose, like, let's say I4. Okay, so I want to choose I4. Now I want to change the color of this cell. Now, if I just go to my home and press this, it won't happen. Now, the color was changed here. That's because this cell was selected before. Now, if I want to make this I4, um, change the color of this I4, simply I just have to select it. And then if I designate a color, it will change the color. So that's basically the work of OOP, okay, or object oriented mm, programming. Now, if I want to change the color of this whole block, I have to select the whole system here and then press this, and it will change the color. And I can change it to any color I want, okay? So that's basically OOP. Now, there are there are a few advantages of OOP, is that it can be reused, you know, it records it and it can be reused again. So if I want to change the color again and I want it no color, I just have to press on the no fill and it will go back to normal. Same thing with this one. If I just select it and use the no fill, it will go back to normal. So that's basically what OOP is. All right, so now let's get on with the next lesson and I'll see you there. Hello and welcome back to the last lesson on Excel VBA. So in this last lesson we're going to learn about the current region. Now, what is a current region format? So, suppose you want to select a specific range, and then for an instance, if someone wants to detonate a bomb, they want to select a, a certain amount of radius that is going to impact the bomb. Okay, so it's like that. So if we want to select this part, or if we want to select this part, or maybe you want to select all of the parts, or maybe this part, that's basically the current region setup. Okay, so for instance, if I want to like select a specific cell, so I want to select all of these, but I want one to be exceptional. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all of them. First, I want to select the one that I want to use, which is this one. After I pressed the data, I'm going to press Control plus A, and you can see that it selected only this part. It excluded this part of the whole chart. Okay, so in that regard, Excel knows that which part to select or which part to exclude. Okay, so you can basically do the same process using the VBA. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into the VBA and go to the developer tab and press on Visual Basics, and we can see that we have the codes written here from before, and from here we're going to start the process. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we have this end product sheet, and this you can see here, these are the sheet names and stuff. So we're currently on sheet 1, so I'm going to select sheet 1. Okay, okay. So first off, I'm going to start by selecting the cell that I want to use the current region on. So I'm going to select this one, which is C9, and I'm going to use this the VBA to start coding. Okay, so I'm gonna write the code here. So I'm gonna start off by typing selection selection dot current region dot selection again. And now when I type in enter, press enter, let's see what happens. Okay, there's an error. So I'm just going to not type in selection. I'm just going to type in select. Now if I press enter, you can see that it has selected all the current regions contents. Okay, so now if I keep the cursor here and then use the VBA again, okay, so it won't work. That's because the cursor needs to be here. Okay, so now if I just run it again and go to here and do it, you can see that it selected all the datas. Okay, now so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this one and I'm going to copy it. Okay, after I've copied it, now I'm going to delete it. um, um, After I've copied it, I'll delete it, and then I'm going to select a cursor cell here and just type in anything I want, and now I'm going to type in the code for this. So I'm not going to use the cursor here this time. Okay, so without using the cursor, I'm going to first type in range, then open parenthesis, double quotation, b I'm going to select, let's say, b2, b2, and then close the quotation, close parenthesis, dot select, dot select. There's the option here, and then I'm going to go down and just copy what I pasted earlier. Okay, just paste what I copied earlier. Okay, so after that, if I press enter, you can see that without using the cursor, I've already selected it. So you don't need to use the cursor to select it. Okay, so these are basically the basics of Excel VBA. And if you want to learn about it, learn the advanced level of VBA, you can get on a course as well. Now, these are not that hard. What you need to do now is to just practice, and you'll be there eventually. Okay, so if you want to uh, learn the advanced levels of VBA or coding in Excel, you can surely find lots of courses out there. Okay, so please practice, and if you have any problem, please reach out to us. All right. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about debugging macros. And to get started, we have this chart here, and we're going to select all of these items, and we're going to then go to the developer tab and record macro. All right, so we're going to go to the developer tab already, and we're going to use the record macro first, and it's macro 2, and I'm going to use a short key which is Control plus R, and now I'm going to click on OK. So once I've done that, I'm going to select all of these items right here, and I'm going to go to the home, and then I'm going to edit this a bit, and I'm going to use, let's say the font would be uh, let's go with Arial Black, and the font size, let's go with 16. Okay, let me align it a bit. All right, let's align it. Okay, my bad. Align every single one of them. Okay, now once we've done that, let's tone down the font size a bit. Select all of them, and then tone down the font size to like 16 or maybe 12. Okay, 12 is fine. All right, once we've done that, we're gonna go here and we're gonna change the color. Let's give the color like, and we're going to use this color. Okay, this color is good. All right, once we've done that, we're going to go to the VBA, and before going to the VBA, we're gonna go to this recorder and stop recording. Now once we stop recording, we're gonna go to the Visual Basic. Now here you can see that there is this one which we selected, right? The macro 2, which has the font Arial Black. Okay, and the size, let's go to the home. You can see the size is 11, same as this one. Size is 11, right? Okay, so this is basically this macro here which has been applied, and like before I told you that there are a lot of unnecessary codes here that we don't need. All right, these false, 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 these are all unnecessary codes. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we already stopped the macro recorder, and we're going to add another macro over it. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can go back to this interface here. You can see that we have a macro here, and this is the macro that we're using right now. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create another macro. Okay, and we're going to create another macro by just go on and start recording the macro. We're going to record the macro again, and then we're going to select this one, And once we've selected this one, we can just go and go to the VBA, and you can see that there is interface here, and this is the macro that we're doing here right now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to home and change the font again to, let's say, we can give this one, and we're going to change the color to uh, so once we've changed the color, we can go back, and as you can see that there is these interfaces, and there are a lot of unnecessary code here that we don't need, and we're going to edit some of them. I'm going to show you now. The one thing about macros is that once you have edited a macro, there's no way to undo it. Okay, so here, if I go to the developer tag, and if we're going to stop the recording now, and here in the VBA, you can see that there are a lot of codes. I already told you that most of them are unnecessary. So what we can do about it is that we can just delete them, just straight up delete them, or we can just use the quotation marks to comment them. Okay. So I've already told you that once you edit a macro, uh, once you apply a macro, actually, it's pretty difficult to undo it. I mean, it's near impossible. So, for instance, if I do this, the macro in this project are disabled. Please refer. Okay. So once I do this, it's not going to happen right now because there's some problems, technical problems going on. But once you apply the macros, it's actually pretty difficult to undo it. And for that reason, you have to like keep a backup and a backup of the backup for ready to use, because it's really a risky thing to not have a backup. So that is the case. So the thing is, I'm going to show you how to do all these, and most of these, like I said, most of these macros or code macros are pretty unnecessary. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete some, like this one here, which doesn't need to be stayed here. So we're going to delete that one, and then after here, I'm going to show you the functions of debugging. Okay. Now, debug, there's already a ribbon here called debug here. If you go into it, there are a lot of options here. And if you don't want to go with that, you can just go here in this space and just click on debug. Or maybe you can also just go here and customize. Okay, once you go to customize, you can also uh, go to commands, toolbar, or commands and options. In the commands, you can see here there's an option called debug. Okay, and from here there are all these options you can see here. You can just take them and drag them to this place to be placed here. You can just place them here, whichever function you need. Okay, just take it and drag them here. All right, so that's how you actually do it. I'm going to close it right now. So these are the tools for debugging. Okay, so the first thing what I'm going to do here, since I've explained what the code is and I've edited a code, so I'm going to use a code or a tool that is pretty important, that's going to edit every single macro individually. And first off, I'm going to take some data. Let's go here and let's, for instance, take this data, or maybe just take these datas. All right, and copy and create another sheet, original data, and just paste them here. All right, so once we've done that, we have these datas, and now we're going to use a tool. Okay, and which tool is that? We're going to go to the VBA here, and you can see. So now that we've got our chart here, we're gonna go to the developer tab and record the macro here and macro 4, and we can check the stuff here, which is macro 4 here, and we're going to select all of this, and you can see this. So I'm going to minimize this to see what's happening in the VBA as well, okay, at real time. And let's adjust this. All right, now you can see, we can see everything that's going on here. All right, now whatever we do here, it's gonna change it here. We can see the codes wide open. All right, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to use a tool of the debugging called step into. All right, so whenever I use this, for instance, I'm going to click on this one, and this is the macro that is helping us, and I'm going to select this step into. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I want to use the step into function. Okay, so to do that, we're gonna select first, let's align this, all of these. All right, we're going to align all of these properly, and then we're going to select this, and we're going to use this step into. Oh, and before that, we're gonna have to um, go to the developer. It was already recording. Now we're going to use uh, another one. So we're going to record another macro, and now we're going to select this. After we've selected it, we're going to type here, and this is the macro that we're using, and we're going to go to home and select the fonts as Arial black, and let's tone down the, okay, and now here is our macro. We're going to use the step into option, okay, the step into tool. All right, so I'm going to use the step into function tool to see which are the ones that we want to skip. All right, so once we're done with that, you can see that it's already individually saved. Okay, so if I want, I can just delete all of these. I can just delete all of these, and which are not necessary. So if I click on the step into again, now you can see that these have been individually saved, right? So that is the case with this macros, and I hope this was understandable, and uh, I'm going to see you in the next lesson. Okay, hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in our previous lesson we learned that how to sort and uh, sales records. So in this lesson we're going to learn about protecting and formatting um, these charts. Okay, so what is protecting and formatting? For instance, I select this cell, and here you can see that I can edit it, right? If I put on protecting, I wouldn't be able to edit this. So first, to do this, I'm going to first, you can see here in sheet 1 I have the same data here, right? So we're going to work on this, and what we want to do here is first we're going to use also the macro recorder here, and we're not going to use the use relative references. Okay, so don't use this. And now what we're going to do is go to the developer tab, and I'm going to use the record macro. Okay, once I click on the record macro, you can see that there is this macro 3, and also they're going to want me to use a short key. So in this case I'm going to use Control plus J because I don't have anything else. um, so once I've done that, it started to record, and now I'm going to go to the home. All right, once I go to the home, I want to select a specific type of uh, charts of whatever there is here. Okay, so I'm gonna go here and find and select. Okay, once I click on that, I'm gonna go to the go to special. I'll click on it, and here you can see there are some interfaces, comments, constants, and formulas, and other things. So I'm gonna click on constants, and for instance, I don't want errors, I don't want logicals, or I don't want any numbers as well. I only want the text. Okay, so I'm gonna click on OK. So the texts have been copied here. All right. Once they have been selected, I'm gonna go to, my bad. So once they're selected, I want them to apply here in this sheet one. All right. So I've selected them, but then I'm gonna go to the format here, and here you can see that there is an option called lock cells. So this is usually locked, and you can unlock it. So once I've clicked on it, you can see that they have been locked. And now I'm gonna go back to the developer tab, and I'm gonna select the stop recording. I'm gonna stop the recording here, and then go to sheet one. All right. So you can see that these have been selected. All right. The macro has been recorded here as macro 3. All right. So I'm just gonna use this one, and once I go to the sheet one, I can simply press Control plus J to apply the macro. If I select the Control plus J, and you can see that it has been selected. All right. So that's how you sort out. So now what we're going to do here, you can see here that the um, macro that we use has been applied. Now we're going to protect it. Okay. How are you going to protect it? For instance, if I click on this here, you can see here, you can edit this, right? You can edit this, but uh, once we protect it, we won't be able to edit it. So we're going to protect it, and we're going to do the whole process again. So I'm going to go back to the sample sales record, and here I'm going to first select record macro, and the macro 4 has been selected. So I'm going to use uh, control plus G, and click on OK. So once it start recording, I'm gonna go back to the home and find and select, go to special, and select the constants, only select the text. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to the format. After going back to this format, I'm gonna log the cells, and then I'm gonna go to this protect sheet. All right, so this is important. We're gonna go select the protect sheet, and here you can see that select locked cells, select unlocked cells. All right, now if you want, you can also apply a password for it as well. So if you don't want it, you don't have to. But let's say I'm gonna give it 1234 simple password. Okay, they're gonna ask you to re-enter the password. So 1234. Okay. So once we're done with that, I'm gonna go back to the developer tab, and now I'm going to stop the recording of the macros. All right. So the macro has been recorded, and I'm gonna go to sheet one. Here, I'm going to press Control plus G to apply the macro again. All right, so it has been applied now, you can see here. So once I click, you can see here, uh, whenever I try to click it and if I want to edit it, I cannot. The cell or chat you're trying to change is on a protected sheet. So that's the thing, you can protect it like that. All right, so that's the whole process of formatting and protecting your macros using the macro recorder. All right, pretty simple. Basically, if you try it one or two times, you will be able to get a hold of it. All right. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any problem, please reach out to us, and I will see you in the next lesson. All right. Hello, and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. In this lesson, we're going to learn about the range. So what is the range? Suppose you want to distinguish your cells or any other thing from software to software, program to program. So you can use the range option. So in range, suppose these cells, I am clicking on them right here, and I want to modify them right now. Okay, so I can just click them right like this. But I'm going to use VBA to modify that. So I'm going to use the range function. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to go to this VBA, and I'm going to click on view and just open the immediate window. Once I click on it, this window will appear here, the immediate window. Okay, and here we're going to write our code. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to write a code uh, that is going to indicate one of these cells here. Okay, so I want to refer to as, let's say, B3. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the immediate window and type in range, and then open parenthesis, and inside I'm going to type in, let's say, B3. B3. Okay, now if I only type in B3 and close parenthesis, it won't work. Okay, it will show an error here. So for that, what I have to do here is I have to go back and use a double quotation mark and then type in B3. Okay, so currently my cell is in like C7, right? And I want it to go to B3. And for that, I'm going to close the double quotation and then close parenthesis. And then I have to type in dot select. Okay, I can just choose it from here. And once I'm done with that, so after I'm done typing the code, I'll just have to simply type in enter. And you can see here my cell is in B3 right now. Okay, so it's that simple. If you want to use the range function, you can just do it from here and do it manually using the VBA. So now that we've understand how to write this code and how to select these cells, we're going to type in some more code and see what happens. Okay, and we're going to go with, let's say, again with range. I'm gonna go with range, double quotation, and double quotation, and A1, not A1, wait. I'm going to select, let's say, A3. Okay, A3, and then dot. Let's see what happens if we go with, let's say, offset. Maybe, yeah, let's go with offset. Select offset. Oh, there's this error. So let's go with select. Okay, we'll just go with select dot select. So this time if I press enter, like my cursor is here, right? And here if I just press enter, it will take me to A3 again. Okay, and here if I want to like add another range, like let's go with this range. So if I apply another range, let's go with, okay, we just cut off this one. So we'll type in it again, no problem. So we typed in range and then I want it, let's go with, so we'll go with, let's say B4, okay? So let's go with B4. Oh, remember to give the double quotation, then apply the B4, double quotation again, and close parenthesis, dot, range, and then open parenthesis, double quotation, and then B3. We'll go with B3. Close the double quotation, close parenthesis, dot, select. Okay. Now you can see that it moved to C6, okay? So this code didn't happen, but it will happen from time to time, okay? So this was basically the running of the codes in Excel VBA, okay? So we're gonna move into the next lesson right away, all right? Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about what a recorder is and versus the manual one. So basically in codings, you can see here, these are all interfaces that are applied here, but you can only see the text and the outer part. The inner parts are basically all codes, right? But we can't see them. So that's basically the codes. And if we want to see the codes, we have to use some other interface as well. So in this case, if we open this Excel, you can see here the first ribbon that's going to appear, it's going to be the home interface, right? But to apply with VBA, to see the codes, we have to go to the developer tab, and here you can find the Visual Basic. Okay, so once we click on it, the window appears as Visual Basic, and right down here you can see that the code that we've written earlier, right? So this is basically the VBA where the codes are written and the codes are saved as well. And you can see here that this um, chart that we're doing here is basically the same one that I've been using for the past 2 or 3 lessons. So I'm just going to use this, which is not a problem as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to first go to the VBA here. And I like to keep the VBA as minimized as possible so that I can see what's going on here, and I can keep the window open right beside to see what's going on. All right. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first go to the developer tab, okay? And I'm going to select the record macro. We're not going to use the use relative references or any of these. We're going to first record the macro. I'm going to name the macro as, let's say, color, okay? And I'm going to give it like control plus Z. All right. After I've done that, it started recording. Now I'm going to go back to our uh, home here. So now that I've started recording the macro. Okay, I'm going to go back to the home, and first let's check on the macros or Visual Basics. If I open it, you can see here there's this module, and once I click on the module, you can see that there are so many codes here. Okay, we're going to get back to that later. And first here we're going to go to the home, and we're gonna select all of these. All right, let's select all of these. Now I want them to be colored. Let's say I'm gonna keep this color. So I'm gonna keep this color, and then I'm going to, let's say, let's put it to bold, and maybe italic as well. And I'm also going to change the font size. Let's say your client told you to apply another font to your uh, chart. Okay, like they want, let's say, this impact font. All right, okay, not maybe not impact, but let's say they want Arial black. Okay, so they want this font, and I've given them the font. All right, so now that, maybe if I want to change the borders, because I can't see the borders here, I'm going to select the borders here. Okay, so the borders are here now. Once I've done that, I'm going to go to the, so now that we've done this, we can go here, and you can see that the developer tab is still recording, right? So we're going to keep it at that. And if I go to the Visual Basic, you can see that there are these codes. All right, so these codes are basically, you can see here, it starts with subcolor, and if we go down, you can see it's written end sub. All right, so it's basically like all these are codes. This is the basic thing, which is that these are all codes. All right, and here you can see that color macro, it's green. Keyboard shortcut is Control plus Z, and it is green. Now why is this green? Now if I go here and type in, let's say, um, green, and you can see that it turns green as well. Okay, so these are basically all codes which are using, so Excel normal, and then range is 15, or I5, sorry, and then cells select interior X solid, and then other stuff as well. Okay, so whatever we applied here, we all have it here as well. So let me just line these all up. Okay, just align them properly. Every single one of them should be aligned properly. Okay, now that's much more better, right? Okay, so that's basically the codes that are running here. All right, so I'm just gonna go and stop recording the macro, and it's all saved right now. And if I want, let's say I'm going to apply some other code. Let's go to sheet 1, and I'm going to select some from here. Just select this part, copy, and then paste them, align them. All right, so if I paste them here, and you can see if I go and run the Visual Basics, they will run here as well. Sheet 4, sheet 3, and the module here. You can see here, these are all the codes that are uh, selected here. Okay, so now that we've got our chart, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna select all of them, and we're gonna go to the home. Before selecting, you gotta remember to record the macro because I already forgot about it, but I'm gonna do it again. So I'm just gonna press on record macro, and I'm going to name this macro 6, and I'm going to use Control plus M. All right. And now I'm gonna go back to the home, and I'm going to select every single one of these, and I'm gonna change them to, like, let's say this one should go as, let's go with Cooper Black. And once we apply the Cooper Black, we're gonna change the font size to, like, let's say 20. That's too much. Let's go with 14, or maybe let's go with 16. All right, and then we're gonna align them properly. Once they are aligned, we're gonna change the colors to, like, let's go with this color and bold italic. All right, now once we're done with that, we're going to go and open the Visual Basics. Let's go to the Developer tab and tap on Visual Basics. And once we're here, so basically you can see that I've clicked on the module 1, right? And here is the code. Now this is the code for sheet 2. All right, and for sheet 3, you can see here that there has been a line break here, end sub and then sub macro 6. Now we named this macro 6, right? Now this is macro 6 as well, and you can see here that macro 6 macro keyboard shortcut Control plus M, which I selected a bit earlier. Cell select, all of these are codes, and most of them are useless codes. All right, so once we've done with that, you can see we're going to take a look at the codes here. And if we go up, you can see this is the macro that has been using this on here. And what we're going to do here is, you can see that there are a lot of code, and I told you that uh, most of this code are unnecessary, right? So you can see here cell select application cut copy mode false with selection, and the name Cooper Black size 11. Now these are pretty important, but the rest of them are pretty unnecessary. So what we can do here is we can just delete all of them, and then we can delete this one as well. Okay, and cell select can stay, just be cell select, and then we can also delete this end width, but just okay. So now that I've done that, okay, we've taken a look at the codes here, and I've deleted it, some unnecessary codes. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop recording this first, and then I'm going to create another macro, and I'm going to go back to the sample sales record, and I'm going to take another sample here, like this part here, and copy it, and we're going to paste it here as well. All right, paste it, there you go, and let's align them. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to press on the record macro again, and we're going to save it as macro 7. And after that, we're going to use, let's say, Control plus D. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to, let's say, um, go to the VBA, the Visual Basics. Now you can see here there's another one here, which is sub macro 7, which is this one, right? And here we can just see all these codes that are selected here, and we're going to select, um, let's go to home and select all of them. After we've selected it, we're going to change the font to, like, 16, and change the font to, let's say, Arial narrow. Okay, or maybe aerial. Let's go with agency FB, okay? And now that we've done that, we're going to open the VBA window. Here in the VBA window, you can see that this is the sub macro 7, and we don't really need all of these codes. We just have to keep, let's say I'm going to delete this one, these codes. All right. After we've done that, what, what we're going to do here is we're going to copy and paste this sub macro. And if we go to the developer tab, use the macros and select macro 6, run. You can see there's an error here. That's because we cannot run another macro on this here. Okay, so compile error expected end with okay. So that is basically the VBA, the manual versus macro recording. And I hope this was helpful, and I'm going to discuss more in the next lessons, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about the selection and colors and other formatting. In our last lesson, we learned about the range. So in this lesson, let's start with first, we're going to open the developer tab, and here we've got the Visual Basic. So we have these Visual Basic VBA window here, and I've minimized it so that we can work with it much more efficiently. Now you can see that I've closed up all the modules here. If I go to the module 1 or 2, these are the codes, so we don't need these. We're just going to work on, let's say this is sheet 4, so we're going to work on sheet 4, okay? All right, so once we get the sheet 4, first we need the immediate window, okay? So to get that window, we're going to go to View, and here we have the immediate window. So when we click on it, you can see here that we've got the immediate window, and there are some codes written that I previously showed in our previous lesson. If I go up there, they increase. So I'm just going to cut all this up. I'm just going to delete it because we don't need it right now. So we're going to start off. So after we go to the immediate window, we're going to type in a code. First, I'm going to type in a value here. So I'm just going to use F8 here. And let's type in, let's say, great. Great. And I will align this. Okay. So once we've typed in great, we're going to go to the VBA, and we're going to type in a code, and we're going to select range. Range. And then we're going to use the open parenthesis. Inside, we're going to type in quotation, and we're going to refer the cell, which is F8. Okay. F8, close the quotation, and then close parenthesis. And then type in dot select. Okay. So once we've selected, you can see that uh, the the cell has gone to this F8 cell, okay, our cursor. And then we're going to type in selection. Now the thing here is that whenever we type in anything, if we type in anything, it will take us to F8 because this is an absolute reference. That's because that's why it's going to take you to F8 because it's an absolute reference, and whenever we whatever we type in and whatever we say, it will take us to F8. Okay, so now if I want to change the font or anything I want of this value of F8, I can simply type in here the code, and to do that I'm just going to type in dot font dot bold. So I want to make it bold, so I'm just going to type in bold equal true. Now if you take a look at the value here, once I press enter, the value has turned bold. You can see here that the value has turned bold. Now if I change this true from true to false, if I type in false and type in enter, the bold font is disappearing. It's unaffecting the value. Okay, so let's try something else now. So let's say that I want to change the value, the whole value of this uh, whole cell. Okay, to do that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in first dot value, take the whole value, and then equal sign. Inside, I'm going to type in with the quotation mark, the double quotation mark, and then I'm going to type in, let's say, goat. Okay, goat. Now I'm going to press enter. Oh, sorry, there was a mistake. I'm gonna give double quotation here. So now you can see that the value has changed to goat. Okay, so once we've added the name, we're going to go down and we're going to add something else. Like you can also, I mean, if you want, you can change this to anything, because we're not gonna change anything here because we don't want to change it. If you want, you can change this to anything like uh, Mars. Okay, Mars or Jupiter, and it will just apply automatically. You can see here it applies automatically. So I'm just gonna keep, let's just stick to the moon. Okay, so after that we're going to select the color. Okay, to select the color we're going to type in again selection dot font dot color, and then we're going to give the equal sign, and now we're going to apply a color, or you can also apply the hex color, which is like if you go to the color section here and type in select the more colors, you can see that there are these colors that are here. You can select any type of color here and any type of hex color here. So we're going to go to the custom, and you can see that there is this color model called RGB. Okay, so we're going to use the hex color. Okay, so I'm going to first select, let's select let's go with this green color. Okay, this, yeah, this green is good, or maybe this green. Okay, and this is the hex code. Okay, so we're going to copy it, just copy this. Okay, we're going to go with no fill first, and we copied the code, and we're going to go to the VBA, and we're going to type in uh, so you don't have to use the hashtag, just use this, use the quotation mark. All right. Oh, it's showing an error, so And now, okay, so let's try a different color. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this one and I'm going to try out the RGB. Let's go with RGB and open parenthesis, type in 255, comma, 0, and then comma again, and then 255, okay, and then close parenthesis. So once we do that, you can see that the color has changed on this, the value. All right. So once we've changed the font color and we've applied this value, we can go here and if you want to change it to anything else, any other color, you can do it as well. Or if you want to change the interior, you can do it as well. Like if you actually want to change the interior, you can just go delete all this, delete up to this one, and then type in interior, and then type in theme, and then type in oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm just gonna go here and type in theme color, then space, equal sign space, and now type in Excel. Now you might see this interface like Excel in many places. Okay, so this is a really common code to place Excel. So after placing Excel, I'm going to type in theme color dark, and then I'm going to give it 9. And well, you can see that the runtime error is 438, so I'm just going to tone it down a bit. Let's first go with 1. Okay. Oh, okay. So I guess we have some mistake here. Okay. Now let's hit it. So theme color dark 1 is pretty light. So we're gonna go with 2. Well, you can see that it becomes dark, but not enough. Let's go with 3. Okay, so the limit is 2. Okay, so we're gonna keep it at 2. All right. Now you can see that the theme color dark is 2 now. So that's basically it with selection and colors. So I hope this lesson was useful, and please practice. If you have any problem, please reach out to us. We're always here to help, and I will see you in the next lesson. Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. And in this lesson, we're going to learn about sorting and filtering. And in order to do that, I took this table and I created this chart. And with this, we're going to look at how we're going to apply the sorting and filtering. Now, in this lesson, we're not going to need these macro record. We're going to need the macro recorder, but we're not going to use the relative references. Okay, so what we're going to need is we go to data, and here is the sort option. We're going to need that. Now here, I want to sort out, let's say, a few topics here, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click at this place, and it's going to select all of the chart, and I'm going to go to the sort. Okay, before that, we're going to go to developer and press on the record macro. All right, so once I press on the record macro, and I'm going to name this sort, I'm going to use Control plus S and click on OK, and make sure that you have no macros left from before. Okay, So it's already started recording. Now we're going to apply the sorting. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to select the whole chart, and then we're going to go to data and click on sort. Now here we have this um, this interface here, and if you want you can add more levels here. All right, and so we're going to sort by, let's say, item type. Okay, this is the item type, and we're going to then sort it by sales channel, and then we're going to sort it by the order date. Okay, after that we're going to press OK. Now you can see that the item type has been organized, and the rest of them are also organized as well. All right, so the date we organized as well, order date. Okay, so now what I want to do here is I want to create a button that would indicate these topics, one of these topics, whatever I want to select. So I want to create a button here. How do I do that? To do that, I'm going to go to here in the insert, and I'm going to use one of these. All right, so if you remember, we were recording in the macro, right? And we have our macro saved here. So we're going to use that as well. So I'm going to go to the insert and select this, and I'm going to create a box here. All right, so just simply create a box here, and I'm going to select this one, the sort, and I'm going to open it. So here you can see that there is a button here which is named button 1. So we're going to rename it, and we're going to name it to, let's say, whatever we want to select it. So I'm going to select, let's say, the order prior, or maybe I should use the order ID. Okay, so I'm going to use the order ID, and so now that I've done that, you can see here that whenever I press this button, the whole interface appears, because I was recording only the macro, only the whole stuff. So now I want to open another one. So I'm going to use the record macro again. I'm just gonna name that, and then we're gonna go to the data and sort it by, let's say, sales priority and country, and then order ID. All right, and we're gonna set this to Z2A, largest to smallest, and that could stay like that. So now I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, the macro has been saved. You can see it here, the macro 2, and then we're going to place another button. So we're gonna go to the insert and select this one, and then we're going to create another button right here like this, and we're gonna set this macro. All right, okay, so it's named button 4, but we're going to name this, let's name this sort. Okay, all right, now whenever I press it, you can see that this interface comes up. Okay, so that is how you use the buttons, and it is very useful for Excel.
Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA, and in this lesson we're going to learn about the use of relative references. Now we've already learned about the use of macro recorder, and we're going to use the macro recorder today as well. So first I'm going to show you what the macro recorder is briefly. Okay, so suppose I'm going to type something here. Okay, so I'm gonna first record a macro. For that I'm gonna go, if you're in the home tab, you have to go to the developer tab, and then go to the Visual Basics. Okay, not the Visual Basics, you just have to go here. Now the Visual Basics is basically the code where we're gonna write all the codes here, so we're not gonna need this in this lesson. So I'm just going to go use the record macro, and beneath that we can see that there is use relative references. Now to get started, we're going to record a macro, start recording a macro first. Okay, so once I press in the record macro, you can see here that there's an interface here, a window which is called record macro, and they're asking me to change the macro name. Okay, and we're gonna give a shortcut key as well. So the macro name, I'm just gonna give it, let's say, background. Okay, and for the shortcut key, I'm just gonna keep it as Control plus Z, because I don't have anything saved as Control plus Z. And I'm going to click on OK. Now the recorder has already started. Okay, to record it, once I click in the D8 tab, it's recording everything right now. So I'm just gonna type in, let's say, anything I want. Okay, so I've typed in this, the macro has recorded this. Okay, once I'm done typing, I'm just gonna go and stop the macro recorder. Once I've stopped the macro recorder, if I want to check the macros, just click on these macros, and you can see here there's this one called background. Okay, for instance, if I want to paste it in some place else, like another sheet here, and if I just want to paste it, I just go to the macro and then just click on run. You can see that it's been pasted in the same space where I recorded it, like in D8. Okay, so now that I have pasted it, now I'm going to show you how to use the use relative references. Okay, now I can paste this anywhere using the short key as well. So I saved the short key as, like, if I go to another sheet and if I use only Control plus Z, for instance, Control plus Z, you can see here it gets pasted automatically because I saved it as Control plus Z. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create some references. Okay, now the difference between recording macro and use relative references is that you can only record the macro in a single cell. Okay, but if you use the use relative references, you can record it like multiple cells. You can record it. For instance, for example, I'm just going to type in, let's say, fire, earth, water, air. Okay, these are the name of the elements. So I'm just going to record. First I'm going to, since I've typed in this is the elements, I'm going to first start recording the macro. Okay, so use the macro recorder and save it as elements, and then set up a shortcut key which is going to Control plus H, or maybe E. Control plus E is fine. Okay, now we're going to use the use relative references. Okay, so once this is in use, we're going to type in the elements: fire, water, earth, and air. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to stop the recording, also the use relative references. Okay, and now if I go to the macro, it's already recorded. So if I go to the macro, you can see that it's elements, and if I click on run, you can see that all the elements, they are being pasted here. So if I want to paste it here as well, I just have to press on Control plus E, Well, you can see that it has been pasted just like that. Okay, so that is the function of use relative references. I hope this was helpful, and please practice at home, and I will see you in the next lesson. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the score and value. Okay, so we're almost at the end of this course. So these are just the basics of these uh, the course, and we'll be ending the course pretty soon because we've covered all of the subjects almost. And in this lesson we're going to learn about the values and score. So in order to do that, I already recorded a macro here, which is this one. Okay, it's already recorded, and if I go to the macros, you can see here there's macro 1 saved here. So I'm not going to open it or apply it. Even if I do apply it, you can see here, if I just click it here, it will be applied. So I'm not going to do it. Now I'm going to open the Visual Basics. Now you can see here in the Visual Basics, once there is the sheet 1 here and the module 1 here as well. Okay, so you can see that the range is D7. This is D7, and so where it's written here, where is it? The same thing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the immediate window here. All right. And in the immediate window, we're going to write down some codes. And if you don't know how to open the immediate window, just go to the view and go to immediate window and open it. So after that, what we're going to do here is we're going to type in some code. All right. So we're going to first type in range, then we're going to use the open parenthesis, use the quotation mark D, which is D7. Okay, D7, and close the quotation, double quotation, and then close parenthesis, and then dot value. You have the suggestion here, you can just click it. There you go, it's applied. So now you've already seen this in my previous lessons, that if I just keep it like this and just press enter, it will show a compile error, right? So we can't just keep it like that. There's still some work to do. And even if I use the equal sign, and then if I don't apply any value, or if I apply just a question mark and then uh, press enter, you can see it says compile error as well. So we're not going to keep it like that, we're going to add something. So I'm not going to add any value here or the question mark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the question mark and place it in front. Okay, once I place it in front, and then so the reason why it's showing this error is because I added this equal sign. So I can't add this equal sign. If I just delete this equal sign and press enter, well, you can see that there is this uh, value here, which is says, what is it? Same, where is it? The same value that I typed here. Okay, so you can see that if we add a question mark in front of this code, it will show the value, and we have to indicate the cell number as well, so it will indicate the values as well. Okay, and if I like change the value here, like if I just, let's say, where is it, I'm going to delete the where. Okay, so if I delete the where, here's the Visual Basic, and go to the Visual Basic, and go to the Visual Basic and just type in, well, you can see that the text here, the value is it. Okay, the where is missing. All right, Now, if I want to change the value here, the whole value of um, this cell, what I can do here is, you've already seen it in my previous lessons, right? Like range, okay? Type in range, open parenthesis, and then double quotation, and just select the cell number to like 7, and then close parenthesis, sorry, close quotation, and then D7. And then after we close the parenthesis, we're going to type in the value, or dot value, right? Dot value. Yes, select this one. And we're going to type in the equal mark, and inside we're going to type in, let's say, first we gotta give the uh, quotation, double quotation, and we're gonna type in, let's say, sun, and close this. And once we've done that, you can see after I pressed the enter, the value here has changed to sun. Okay, so before it was where is it, and then we turned it into is it, and now it's the sun. Okay, so it's as simple as that, changing the code using the immediate window in the VBA. Okay, all right, now that we've done the value, now we're going to learn about the clear. Okay, so the clear is basically, you can clear whatever the value is, or anything, or any format you want to clear. Okay, and the value was the we can change the value and whatever. Okay, so we're gonna see the clear, what the clear is, and we're going to, for example, we're going to type in, let's say, let's go with range again, range, and then um, open parenthesis, and we're going to type in the double quotation. Now you have to remember that every time you want to refer a cell, you have to add the double quotation. Okay, and then D7, my bad, D7, double quotation again, close parenthesis, and dot. This time we're going to type in clear. Okay, so you can see here there is the clear. We're going to select it, and now that we've selected it, we're going to type in enter, and you can see in the Excel that the value, the sun, has disappeared. So that's basically the clear. So this was the value and clear option of Excel VBA. So if you have any trouble, please reach out to us, and we're always here to help, and please practice at home as well. Okay, hello and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. In our last lesson, we learned about the formatting and protecting of the charts. And in this lesson, we're going to learn about the VBA, okay? The basics of VBA. And as we move forward, we're going to go to the advanced levels of VBA. So in this lesson, first we're going to start off with recognizing what the VBA window is. So the VBA is in the developer tab. Okay, so when you open your Excel, you will most likely be in the uh, home ribbon, but you have to go to the developer and then select Visual Basic. So once you select the Visual Basic, you can see here that there has been a window, and I've already covered this window in our first lesson, but this I'm going to cover it again now. So basically this window, in this window we're going to write some codes, and we're going to apply those codes uh, in this chart. Okay, so the Visual Basic is basically Microsoft's Visual Basic for application, so VBA in short. And you can see here that we have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and this workbook as well. And the module here is where you save your macros. Okay, so these are all the macros that are saved here. So the module 1, if you don't have any macros saved, then you would haven't gotten any of these sheet 1, sheet 2. Okay, since you have macros saved, like for instance, if I go back to the VBA and click on macros, you can see here macro 2, macro 3, macro 4, sort. All these type of uh, macros are saved here. Okay, so now we're going to uh, get introduced with these um, basic applications. And here you can see the file and other stuff, edit, view. So we're going to go to this um, view interface, and we're going to select immediate window, which you can also command by Control plus G. So once we've done that, you can see here there's an interface here, and we're going to write some code here. All right, so to write some code, first we're going to select anything from here. So I'm just going to select, let's say, this serial, which is C17, and we're going to start writing some code here. Okay, so what we can do here first, if you want to write any code, you have to start with a question mark. All right, so once I start with the question mark, I'm going to type in range and then open parenthesis. All right, so since there is this range, it's written here cell 1, cell 2 as range, so I've already selected like C17, right? So I'm gonna use like the double quotation mark and type in C17. Okay, and then I'm gonna close the quotation mark and close parenthesis. After that, once I've written that, I'm gonna go down, and you can see that it's written serial. It's because I indicated that C17 is going to be selected. That's why whatever content or values is in C17, it's appearing as it's written there. Okay, so once we're done with that, we're gonna go to here, and we're gonna write another code, question mark, and type in work sheets dot, and we're gonna select count. All right, all right, and down here we're going to select, it's already selected 3. All right, okay. So now that we've written the code, you can see here that if I go to view, there are a lot of more interfaces here, like local window, watch window. We're going to get into that in our later lessons, and immediate window, which we wrote the code on. Okay, and if I select more here, file, edit, view, and then other stuff, formatting, there's so many things that you can try here. So that's basically VBA, and we're gonna do some more in the next lessons. And I hope this was understandable. And if you have any problem, please reach out to us. And I'll see you in the next lesson, okay? Hello, and welcome back to another lesson on Excel VBA. So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at the grammars in VBA. So to look at the grammars, you can see here that I have some info here about uh, it could be something, okay? So here I'm going to create something. We're going to record some macros as well. So firstly, I'm going to go to the home, and in the home I'm going to go to insert, and I'm going to insert some sheet columns. All right, once I do the sheet columns, and here I can add any info, and I'm also going to add some, let's say, insert sheet rows. Okay, I'm going to need some rows as well. Now after that, what I'm going to do here is take this. Okay, so I'm going to delete this one. All right, and then this is, I'm going to also take this, copy and paste it here. Okay, and I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to put this here, here. All right, so copy and paste. So once I've done that, I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in here names. All right, names and our name, and then I'm going to apply bold to this block. I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to align this in the center. All right, so I've aligned this in the center, and I'm going to give this names, and I'm going to name this, let's say, Martin, and then I'm going to name this here, let's say, let's go with Steve, and then Carl, and for the female I'm going to go with Jenna, and Luke, and I'm going to name this guy, let's say, Tony. All right, so once I've named them, now we have this chart. Okay, and now I'm going to name this place, let's say, injury, location, and then I'm going to align this. Okay, this is going to be gender, and this is going to be age. Since these are all titles, I'm going to bold them, all of them, and also this one as well. Okay, once I've done that, let's adjust them, align them perfectly, and I'm going to place this is in the center, and gender as well. Okay, age, let's go with, all right. Wow, all right. Okay, let me select every single one of these, and I'm going to align them in the middle. Okay, all right, now that's much more better. So now that I've done that, I have to first go to the developer and record the macro. Okay, so I'm going to open another sheet here, and in the sheet 2, what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to record the macro, and I'm going to go back to sheet 1 and take all this, copy, and go to sheet 2 and paste them. All right, so the macro has been recording. All right, now I'm going to go to the Visual Basics and go to module 1, and you can see that this is the macro one that we've selected here. Okay, now, so once I've done that, I'm going to take only this, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it right here. All right, and you can see that these are the ones that I took earlier, and now I'm going to run this in the Visual Basics. So now that I've done this, okay, when I open the VBA, you can see that this is the VBA of this part of the sheet. Okay, so whenever I if I go here and take a look at these macros or the codes, you can see there's sheet 1 and then there's range. Now these are all the grammars in Excel. Okay, this is the grammars that is referring to I was referring to. Okay, so if I select this one, step into, okay, it's gonna review. Now you can see in the sheet here that you can see in the sheet that it has been marked. And if I go down sheet 1, then if I go down range A to D7, you can see here A to D7, D7 here, A, and then D7 here. Okay, and it's selected here with the range after the bracket, the open parenthesis, and then we have the quotation mark. Inside we have the A1 and then the D7, and then quotation mark again, and then the close parenthesis. All right, and then we have dot select. Then if we press on the step into again, or if you can also use the step into by uh, pressing the F8 button. Okay, it's written over here, so you can just press F8 to select the step into function. Now sheets, uh, the reason it's in sheet 2 is because if you go to sheet 2, you can see here, and if you go to like the VBA here, and you can see that it is being selected, right? So that is basically the function of grammars. And another thing is these N12 and then B2 to D7. These are all referred to as verbs, grammars and verbs. So it makes sense, pretty sense, right? And that's basically the grammars of VBA. And we're going to go into the next lesson. And in the next lesson, we're going to learn about how to create macros from scratch. All right. So I'll see you in the next lesson. All right.